Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my Week 1 NFL reactions, and boy, do we have a lot to talk about today. Now, I would like to flex that I've gotten 13 of my predictions correct on the week. However, I would say 75% of the games, even though the outcome is right, do not look anything like how I pictured. Couple of plugs as always before we hop right into it. Don't forget to use code Wyatt's World on G Fuel or Prize Picks, where you can save yourself a discount on any G Fuel products or guarantee yourself a free $50 with your first $5 lineup when you use code Wyatt's World at sign up with Prize Picks. Also, for anybody thinking that they missed out on the Caleb Williams free square, you did, but you didn't, because that free square is going on for the next 2 Sundays and everybody can use it again. All he needs is 1 passing yard for the entry to win. But remember to always play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, so first game we're reacting to here was Thursday Night Football, where the Ravens fell short to the Chiefs by a touchdown. Now, this was a crazy game, and I think people are being a little bit too critical of Lamar Jackson. I will admit his passing was a little bit inconsistent this game, but he was very effective running the ball and very much a reason why Baltimore stayed in it the entire time. Henry, even though it doesn't look like he statistically had the most productive day, I think still showed that he is going to be quite effective in the Baltimore offense. I mean, not only did he get the touchdown I didn't think he was going to get, but if Baltimore can get him to the line and give him that momentum every time, I don't think there's a D-line that can stop him. Now, when it comes to receiving for Baltimore, it was a little bit odd. Isaiah Likely dominated, actually almost won the game for Baltimore, but stepped out by a toe. And then if you look at Mark Andrews, he had 2 receptions for 14 yards, and honestly, I'm not sure he was targeted much more than that. Also, the final play that people are probably asking me to talk about with Lamar and Zay Flowers, I'm not going to give an opinion on that. If I call it a miss, I'm going to get screamed at. If I call it a miscue, I'm going to get screamed at. They didn't connect. It sucks. I'm not sure what happened. Defense didn't appear to be too bad to me at all. Roquan had a good day as expected. And Justin Tucker, I'm starting to fear, might actually be cooked. In his last 20 attempts at 50-yard field goals, he has only made 10. Say it ain't so. Looking at the Chiefs now, they did what they had to do to win the game. However, their rushing outside of Worthy's sweep was actually pretty lousy. And even though Rashee Rice killed it in the receiving game, and I'm not dumping on Xavier Worthy saying this, but if it wasn't for Xavier Worthy's blown coverage touchdown, like, the receiving game would have pretty much been a one-man army. Kelsey fantasy owners are in shambles as well. Defense did their job, saw a lot of nice stuff out of Trent McDuffie. Chris Jones got the solo sack. And then how can we forget to acknowledge your team MVP, Chris Collinsworth, finishing out the day with approximately 78 glazes. Congratulations. All right, now moving on, we have the Friday night game, which was the Packers losing to the Eagles in Brazil, and I think I speak for everybody when I say I hope the NFL never plays on that field again. Nothing against the people of Brazil, but that field was probably one of the worst I think I've ever seen, and there was absolutely zero atmosphere. Starting off with the Packers first here, Jordan Love, if you haven't heard, he damaged his MCL and is expected to miss 3 to 6 weeks. But if I gotta be honest on his performance outside of that, I can't say he was actually very good. Wasn't terrible, but not spectacular. Josh Jacobs rushing started off the game a little bit rough, but he found his footing towards the end. Jaden Reed was absolutely unstoppable on the ground and through the air. And I would even like to give the benefit of the doubt to Christian Watson, who should have had another touchdown, but he literally couldn't stand. Like, he was wide open, but he fell because he had no traction. He was just on mud. Also, ironically, Jair and McKinney both got picks. As I was saying, I'd be terrified to throw into them. However, at the same time, must acknowledge Jair got fried by A.J. Brown. And even though Green Bay's kicker did miss a field goal, he still got him 11 points on the day. Philly, on the other hand, I think looked a lot better after the first quarter. They just struggled to get anything moving. Jalen didn't look that great either. But Saquon strapped the team on his back, having 3 total touchdowns on the day. A.J. Brown, like I said, burned the hell out of Jair for a touchdown. The Slim Reaper got involved. Reed Blankenship got the pick for defense. And Jake Elliott was absolutely flawless for Philly, 2 for 2, 10 points. I really hope the Philly doubters are seeing what I'm talking about with this offense, man. Like, there's nobody that they can't keep up with. All right, now moving on to the noon slate, we got the Panthers at the Saints. Looking at the Saints here first, Derek Carr lit the Panthers up. Now, I do feel like I gave away in my power rankings last week that my hatred with Derek Carr is majority just a bit. I still don't think he's an elite quarterback. I still don't take this game as a sign that he is going to be an elite quarterback because the Panthers were terrible, but we will not deny that he destroyed this week. Kamara, from what I saw on my fantasy team, did okay for me. Also, production-wise, 5.5 yards a carry. Nobody's gonna be mad at that. I got to see Rashid Shaheed's bomb of a touchdown. I got to see Foster Moreau's nice jump touchdown. However, I didn't see Juwan Johnson's touchdown, and I'm also noticing right now that Chris Olave had 2 receptions for 11 yards. What? And when it comes to the Saints defense and special teams, they absolutely dominated, as you could imagine. Alante Taylor having 3 sacks, Demario Davis having a sack, Jordan Howden having a pick, William Harris having a pick, and then Group kicking 17 points on the day. These guys weren't fucking around. Now, looking at Carolina, I'm sorry, but what do you guys want me to say on this? Like, I feel sick saying what I'm about to say, but dude, Bryce Young might be bad. He might be really fucking bad. His first pick to open the game might have been the yips. Second one, inexcusably horrid. 13 for 30 on the day. I didn't see one productive play out of him until his rushing touchdown. But hey, at least Michael Jackson got 7 tackles. Hee hee. Now moving on, we have the Vikings blowing out the Giants. I'm going to talk about Minnesota here first. Sam Darnold, as I predicted, had a very decent day. 19 for 24, 208, 2 touchdowns. Aaron Jones literally did Aaron Jones things. Looks exactly the same as he always has. Ty Chandler, however, really disappointed. Receiving was actually pretty consistent down the board in terms of yardage, at least. Nobody really outshined anybody else. Jefferson and Jalen Naylor got the touchdown. Very happy to see Naylor score. In the Vikings defense, even though I don't want to overhype them because they played the Giants, they played absolutely lights out, and Brian Flores is one of the best DCs in the league. 5 sacks, 2 picks on the day, one of the sacks coming from Dallas Turner, and also welcome to the team, Andrew Van Ginkel. Holy hell. Now, when it comes to the Giants, we don't have a lot to talk about at all. I do want to give a shout out to Malik Neighbors having 5 receptions for 66 yards in your first game ever in that offense is pretty incredible. But the other thing I want to really talk about is Daniel Jones, and it's not what you think. I'm not going to lay into him hardly at all. Like, he had a bad game, and I'll leave it at that for my critique. But dude, human being to human being, like, people are being really over the top with him. Like, I deleted any jokes that I tweeted or retweeted about him yesterday because I felt so bad seeing the video of him walking to his car after the game. Like, yeah, not the best quarterback. You guys paid him a lot. You're expecting a lot more. You have a right to be upset. But fuck, filming him walking to his car screaming, "Give me $1 million, you fucking suck." It's crazy. Like, that's just crazy. He's a human being. That drive home he had, I want to cry thinking about it. Like, it had to have been horrid. Now moving on, we have the Pats beating the Bengals. Now, I didn't get to see much of this game at all, but I would like to mention that in my Pick'em League I'm doing with you guys, out of like the 2,400 people that are in it, I'm pretty sure there was under 25 picks for the Patriots to win. So you guys, pat yourselves on the back because you got a 1-up on everyone else this week. Yeah, I don't have much comments here. You know, it looks like Joe was accurate. However, I heard Jamar Chase only got 6 targets, which means he would have logged in every one of them, which also makes me wonder why they didn't throw to him more. However, I will say the one thing I'm seeing out of the Bengals defense that I expected a lot more out of is sacks. They only got 1 on the day, apparently. Does New England have a brick wall, or were you guys just checked out? Looking at New England now, Jacoby went 15 for 24, 121. Ramondre went 25 for 120 with the score, so apparently their O-line is indeed a brick wall. And the receiving was led by Austin Hooper, who had 2 for 31. That's about as expected there. Again, apologizing, I didn't get to catch a lot of this game. It looks like Keon White had a good day defensively, and somebody tell me in the comments how Christian Gonzalez did, because I didn't get to see much of him. Now moving on, we have the Steelers at the Falcons, and for fuck's sake, Atlanta! I know it's just 1 regular season game in 3 games of preseason, but I am nosediving with you guys. You guys look like shit! Kirk Cousins played a terrible game. We'll get to that. Bijan rushing wasn't great. That was expected. He was effective through the air. Ray McLeod actually led the team in receiving. Kyle Pitts had a nice touchdown, but he was wide the fuck open. Their defense did everything they could to keep him in it, but they didn't have the offense to generate any points. Now back to what I wanted to say on Kirk Cousins. This is a real fucking stat. The Falcons were in pistol or shotgun 96% of their snaps. Out of 22 snaps at shotgun, they had 0 designed runs. But of the 26 snaps out of the pistol, they ran the ball 81% of the plays. Talk about being fucking predictable. Also talk about Kirk Cousins probably not being healthy enough to play the position. I think that's why he was sitting back in shotgun the entire time, because the Falcons know that this guy needs as much time as possible to make the throw because he can't move. Abysmal! And looking at the Steelers offense, it's not like we can talk about anything here. They didn't do anything. All the work came from Chris Boswell, who literally kicked every point they had, and then the Steelers defense, which dominated Atlanta the entire game. If Atlanta goes under 500 this year, I don't even want to try and imagine the amount of people who are going to get fired. Now moving on, we have the Texans beating the Colts, where my outcome was correct. However, the game was just much closer than I thought. I do take great pride in what I said about Anthony Richardson, though. I think I hit that right on the head. This is a guy who is a freak of nature, who will make freak plays and will also get you guys in trouble. We saw the bomb he hit Alec Pierce with off his back foot at the beginning of the game. That was crazy. After that, if I read correctly, he was like 3 for 16 with a touchdown and a pick. As you can see right there, he finished 9 for 19 on the day. He had a great run. It looks like the guy's impossible to tackle, but it recirculates to what I said. He will keep you in the game just as much as he might keep you out of it at this stage in his career. He's still learning. Also, Indy's defense, before anybody tries to judge them too fast, they actually played extremely well. They didn't allow more than 6 points in a quarter until the fourth. They were just gassed. Looking at the Texans now, CJ Stroud went 24 for 32, 234, 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon absolutely ate. I got a few DMs about that because I've been pretty harsh on his words. As far as receiving goes, Nico Collins led the team 6 for 117, although Diggs did score 2 touchdowns on the day. And anybody who may be shocked that we didn't see a sack out of Will or Daniil this game, I think when you're not playing Anthony Richardson, you'll see it a lot more. Dude, that rushing touchdown AR had, I don't know if a rhinoceros would have stopped him. Now moving on, we got the Bills squeaking by the Cardinals. I have a lot of respect for the Cardinals. I think they played a great game. However, I have to say I was really annoyed that you guys only gave us like 2.5 possessions the first half. But it was smart football. Looking at Arizona on the day, Kyler only had 162 and a touchdown, but I think he did play pretty well. James Conner had a rushing touchdown, even though Buffalo tried their best to contain him, only at 3.1 yards a carry. Receiving was led by Greg Dortch. Michael Wilson had the touchdown, and Marvin Harrison fantasy owners, including myself, are also all on depression watch. Looking at the Bills now, like I said, nothing happened really in the first half, but when they came running out of the tunnel in the second one, all hell broke loose. Josh Allen had 4 total touchdowns on the day, 2 through the air, 2 rushing, where one of them he hurdled Buda Baker. Keon Coleman led the team in receiving, 4 for 51. Shakir had a great touchdown, and Mac Hollins had the first receiving touchdown of the year for Buffalo. And my oh my, looking at the defense, even though I still question the secondary, it's looking like Greg Rousseau and Von Bon Jovi might be back to kick some fucking ass. 4 sacks between the 2 of them. Like I said, annoying first half, but I was very pleased with how this ended. Now we got the Titans choking an enormous lead to the Bears. This game was embarrassing for 2 reasons. 1, Tennessee had them dead to rights, and for 2, Chicago didn't have a single offensive fucking point. Seriously, look at Chicago's offense. It was dog shit. It was really bad. But the defense did come alive in the second half, scoring 14 points, and then the kicker, who also had 10. Now, looking at Tennessee, as much as I hate to say it, Will Levis looked awful. Creating pressure when he didn't need to be, carelessly throwing the ball out when you're getting sacked. This looked like it was his first game ever in the NFL. Tennessee's scores came from Tony Pollard, who actually had a great day on the ground. Rushing was really good in general. And then the receiving touchdown came in from Okonkwo. And anybody thinking that Tennessee's defense was bad this game? Again, please understand, they didn't let up a single touchdown. So big choke or not, all things considered, I'm not really writing them off yet either. Now moving on, we have the Jags at the Dolphins, and this was insane as to how it played out. I got the outcome right again, but holy shit. First off, we have Trevor throwing 12 for 21 on the day. He didn't throw a pick, but buddy. I do like to see the touchdown that went to Brian Thomas. It just sucks that I was benching him for Marvin Harrison Jr. Rushing was led by Tank Bigsby. Just figuring out now his name is Tavarius. ETN had the touchdown, 12 for 44 in the day. Little rocky. And receiving, even though Brian Thomas got the only score, was led by Gabe Davis, so I guess I'm happy to see him doing good things. Now it's the defense on Jacksonville that I'm excited to talk about, because my boy Trayvon Walker, 2 sacks, motherfucker. He's here! Speaking at Miami now, Tua 23 for 37, 338, and a touchdown. It started off slow for the Miami offense, and then they were able to get in rhythm. Now their rushing was a little bit underwhelming on the day. A-Chain did have a rushing touchdown, but the receiving game is what really came alive. Reek had 130 and a score. Waddle had 109. A-Chain had 76 yards. A-Chain will be a fantasy league winner if he stays healthy. And the defense appeared to do their job as well, coming up with 3 sacks on the day, one of them coming from Father Time himself, Calais Campbell. See ya Thursday, Dolphins. All right, now we're moving on to the 3 o'clock slate of games, and I would just like to let you guys know I was at my little cousin's softball game during this time, so I didn't get to see what Red Zone didn't show me. But judging off of what I've seen on TikTok, Twitter, and now the box score, it appears that Bo Nix had a horrendous start to his career, 26 for 42, 138, 2 picks. He did have a rushing touchdown, but I mean, if we're gonna be mean to Bryce Young, we can't exactly be nice to Bo Nix, you know what I mean? Receiving appeared to be consistent among 3 men. As far as the defense goes, Singleton had the pick here, Jonathan Cooper had 2 sacks, and Will Will Lutz going perfect 3 for 3 kicking 10 points is most certainly a big factor as to why Denver hung in here so long. Looking at Seattle now, the notable performance I have here is from Kenneth Walker since I played him in fantasy. He had 20 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. That was fucking awesome. Geno also had a passing touchdown as well as a rushing touchdown. And Tyler Lockett overwhelmingly led the team in receiving at 77 yards, and I also got to see him make a great catch to seal the game for Seattle. Hey, I got my pick right on this as well, but Seahawks fans, if you guys are so good and I was underrating you so much, why did you barely get past these guys? Now moving on, we have the Raiders losing to the Chargers, and from what I have seen, read, and heard about this game, the major takeaway is Antonio Pierce absolutely shit the bed with his coaching performance. And I agree too. Look at this game, man. This was shit all the way to the fourth quarter. And then when the Raiders actually had a chance to, go for it and make some noise on the most critical drive of the game, 4th and 1, midfield, Antonio Pierce decides to punt the ball because he doesn't think his guys can get 1 yard. Everything after that went downhill. J.K. Dobbins ripped him a new asshole. And this game was on ice. And if we look at the Chargers offense, they didn't do all that great until Dobbins came to life. I mean, Herbert and Ladd hooked up for a touchdown, but it's not like Herbert was throwing all over him. Gus couldn't run. But providing major assistance to the Chargers was their defense, who played pretty much lights out. They allowed a touchdown in the first quarter and only a field goal after that. Where are the Raider fans that said it was diabolical for me to put you in the bottom 5? Moving on, we have Dallas blowing Cleveland out of the water, and yeah, really blowing them out. The last 7 points from Cleveland came at the last second from Jerome Ford. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this game. Shout out to Eric Kendricks on getting an interception after turning the age of 85. Shout out to Trayvon, welcome back to the league. And shout out to Brandon Aubrey on kicking 15 points. Okay, now on to the Browns. Deshaun Watson, what I've said about him, all of last year, it is confirmed. Confirmed. The guy's a head case. You can put this guy on a practice field with a cell phone and you'll get some crazy plays, crazy throws, crazy highlights of him, just having fun and balling out. The second you put him in front of a live crowd or on television, he is cooked. The guilt of the stuff that had happened in the past and the pure hatred and disdain of everybody watching him, even in his own hometown, it eats him alive. You can see it when he's out there. You can see it in his fucking eyes. The guy is not the same. Cleveland, if he is your quarterback, which you have no choice, you're screwed. Now moving on, we have the Commanders losing to the Bucks. Baker Mayfield absolutely balled out here, 24 for 30, 289, 4 touchdowns. Looks like rushing was taken over by Bucky Irving here, 9 for 62, 6.9 yards a carry. That's crazy. And receiving was dominated by Chris Godwin, Rashad White, and Mike Evans, having 3 touchdowns between just Chris and Mike. Now looking at the Commanders, they're more so the team I want to talk about here because they're more interesting. Jaden Daniels passing wasn't bad. Rushing, he was very productive, had 2 rushing touchdowns. But again, I gotta voice my concern about his ability or confidence to want to throw the ball deep. It doesn't look like he wants to do it ever. And if it's up to him, he's just gonna throw checkdowns every single pass. As far as the Washington defense goes, you can tell by the score, they got murdered. But I will give a shout out to the lone sack on the team, which came from none other than Cleveland Farrell. What the fuck? And ending with Sunday Night Football, we have the Lions defeating the Rams, and this was a crazy game. Started off as a snooze fest and ended as an absolute nail-biter. Stafford went 34 for 49, 317, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Kyron Williams went 18 for 50 with the touchdown. That's actually terrible production-wise. And receiving was manhandled by Cooper Kupp and Tyler Johnson because Puka Nacua was injured. So Kupp went 14 for 110 and a touchdown, and Tyler Johnson, my former Gopher, went 5 for 79. Looking at the Lions here, Goff went 18 for 28, 217, a touchdown, a pick. Montgomery and Gibbs did what they could, but didn't really come to life until that final drive when David Montgomery just said, hey coach, I'm gonna go end the fucking game right now. And receiving was led by Jamison Williams, who has clearly just heard enough of everyone's shit, putting on an electric performance of 5 for 121 and a touchdown. This video is gonna be a million minutes long and I'm getting exhausted. I've been talking for fucking 4 hours now, but one more thing I wanna say on Detroit is big shout out to Brian Branch. And I genuinely mean this, and I think Detroit will agree. If he wasn't playing last night, you guys wouldn't have won. He was all up in everyone's business. But good game to end Sunday, and what a good start for Detroit. Anyway, guys, that is going to be all for my Week 1 NFL reactions. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, you already know what to do to show support, and please do it because you know I appreciate any and all help. In the meantime, I'm going to get this edited so you guys can watch it on time. I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Enjoy Monday Night Football, and as always, I will see you in the next video.